Good morning, gardening friends. Today is April 2nd, Palm Sunday, and it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Looks like it's going to rain. We'll see what happens later today. But a lot has been happening in the backyard and front yard. I'm going to be reworking a lot of pots this week. I've been fertilizing. Here you can see my roses are in bloom. Unfortunately, the cold snap that we had earlier this year, the late frost, did damage the rose blossoms. They still have a fragrance. They look terrible, but they still have a fragrance, and new buds will come. I cleaned up my papyrus. This is really only the second year that I've had these papyrus, and it looks like they have survived. My pitcher plant is really doing well. Still has the blossom, although I think the blossom has seen better days. My horsetail equisetum is doing well. It sent up a whole bunch of new shoots. And one of my pots of violets is in bloom. I didn't plant those. They seeded themselves in amongst my ginger lilies, so I let them grow. Here I've got more. These I did seed. And those are a little bit later because they're farther in the shade. Remember, this is a north-facing deck, so the deck only gets about a half a day. Half of the deck gets sun. This half is still in shade. And I did notice that we have activity. The peach-colored angel's trumpet has come back. It is fighting its way amongst the slugs and snails. You can see how holy it is. And it's pretty much escaped the aspidistra. And it really needs to do that. The aspidistras bloom near the bottom of their stems, which is neither here nor there, but I did find out that they are pollinated by snails and slugs. So that's one of the reasons you have a lot of snails and slugs when you have aspidistras around. So, yay, the angel's trumpet has made it above the aspidistra, so it'll stop being attacked by slugs and snails. I did buy more of this sedum, and I'm going to start putting some sedum in some of the holes on this strawberry pot. I don't want to have a whole strawberry pot full of sedum, but I want a few holes filled with sedum. And you may recall that last year, really all I did was take one piece like that and stick it in the top of the pot and 4 times, and that's how much it grew in 1 year. Eventually, I'd like to see it cascade down the sides of the pot. So I will be planting some of that later this week. I'm going to be replanting that trough. My Nepenthes is putting out lots of new pictures. I don't know how that picture, oh, okay, it writes itself. You see it twisted and twisted around up at the top. And it's in the process of writing the picture now so that it'll grow upwards. In the meantime, the other 2 Nepenthes sprouts or shoots are putting their pictures in at the top. So that was the size of this longer branch last year. So Nepenthes do seem to like this north exposure. They get very little sun, if any. Late in summer is when they'll get the most sun. Here's what I bought at Lowe's yesterday. They had 50% off on their lavenders. They look pitiful, but I knew it was just a matter of giving them water, so I brought them home and I'm going to spread them around. See, here's an angel's trumpet that the slugs haven't gotten to yet. They really, really love these spring plants, primroses, and they haven't yet gotten to the new growth on those, as well as my hostas. So far, not into the hostas. I did clean up all of my white jasmines and fertilize them. And I wish you could smell the fragrance. It's really sweet smelling over here. This is a borage plant. In fact, that reminds me I need to start some borage seedlings. And you can see the slugs have pretty much eaten that. So again, I'll start them in pots and plant them out here and there. Borage has a flavor of cucumber, I would say. You can eat the leaves, but the leaves are furry. Not very, well, they're tasty. They still taste the same, but the texture is weird. The flowers are the best thing to eat on the borage plant. Here's one of my Lenten roses that I brought back from New York about 5 or 6 years ago and has never bloomed. I'm going to relocate that in my yard. I'll show you later where the Lenten roses are doing really well. One thing we did do this week is we straightened all of my statuary. David had sunk in the ground about a good 6 to 8 inches, and we had to move the base out of the ground. It's been quite a few years since I messed around with him, so it looks neat now that he's out of the ground again. We also had to straighten up the urns. They sink into the ground as well over here. Oh, there's Miss Mimi coming to say hi. Hello there, Mimi. What you doing? Oh, while we're here, Miss Mimi wants to show you the blooms, or the bloom stalks, I should say, on this palm. There's one, Sapindo palm. Gotta be careful looking where I'm walking here. And there you see another stalk that has opened, and it has the fruit on it already. It looks like it has just 2 blooms at the top. The next time you see this tree, or this palm, hopefully it'll be covered in Spanish moss. One of the things I did this year was, or not this, well, it is this year. A couple of weeks ago, as I ordered off of eBay. What a silly thing to do when you live down south, but short of stealing it off of someone's tree, I've decided I'm going to put some Spanish moss all up and down randomly on this palm trunk, just to sort of dress it up some. Put something at eye level to look at. I did have a few orchids there, but they did not survive that cold snap that we had last year. The Spanish moss will. You can see the nandinas are really doing well. They're sending out their flowers. I'll step it up a little because I don't want this to take too long. This is my Ozark plum, planted where I lost my Meyer lemon, and it's doing well. You can see the spent flowers on my yellow knockout rose. Here everything is just green. I cleaned up these topiaries of the white jasmine. This is the way I prefer my jasmine to be, with just a few flowers, because when there's just a couple of flowers, it smells really sweet and nice. But when you have millions of flowers, it can be a little jarring. So yeah, this has been, you can see I reworked the pots. I put new dirt on the top. Probably took about 2 quarts of dirt in each pot, and then I fertilized in that. So that's, and straightened the pots and the topiary forms. So they should be set for the year. What I was going to say is this is going to be the week of pots. I'm going to be reworking all of my pots. And, oh, Miss Mimi's hiding back there. Oh, squirrel scared her. Strawberries are still doing well in those pots. Those have already been fertilized. And you can see here I do have some of the spiderwort. And this is actually where I wanted it to come up. So this year it's doing what it's supposed to do. And it's got the other spiderwort, the wandering dude, the purple version at the bottom. The actual purple mixed with the bright blue colors of the wild spiderwort really is a nice contrast. This statue was a pain to straighten because she was sinking. Uh-oh. I think Mimi wants to go in because of Oscar's probably here. But that female statue of Venus needed straightening as well. But it is heavy. Concrete can be quite heavy. Okay, Mimi, I'll let you in. Go ahead. Okay, where was I? Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you for today is you can see my daylilies are setting bud, soon to bloom. I'll probably leave those pansies there because the daylilies are going to bloom orange, and orange and yellow go together nicely. I decided I'm going to be getting rid of my colocasia elephant ears. I'm going to wind up putting it in a pot because I don't want these spreading plants all over. So I'm going to dig out everything that's there and put them in a pot, and that way they'll be confined. I'm also going to dig up this sedum here and put it in a pot. And in its place is going to go that Lenten rose that I said hasn't bloomed in 5 years. The reason being is these Lenten roses are doing exceedingly well. You can see new flowers are opening here. I'm going to stake this up later today, but there you can see the look of the flowers. I planted 2 others and they grew, and I was pleasantly surprised, see how close I can get to this, to see a flower bud on this one. It's just a little bit later, probably because of the sun exposure. So that one's going to bloom. And this one, which has done the best in terms of growth, even though it's been trod on quite a few times this year, is also setting up flowers. So I think I have finally cracked growing Lenten roses. So I'm going to relish in that fact and turn this area into a Lenten rose patch. But definitely I need to get rid of the colocasia. You can see how it's coming up all over in the monkey grass. Do a quick round up front. Everything here is still pretty much the same. Here you can see the wild flowers on the spiderwort. Topiaries are still doing fine. I actually have some chrysanthemums blooming here. This is a southern exposure now in the front of the house, so it gets more sun. Look at how nice and full my Australian tree fern is. It may start to actually form a trunk soon. You can see here my amaryllis need a little tidying up, but they're still blooming. They are absolutely gorgeous. And still more buds are coming up. Here's another bud and another one back there. And on this side, every one has 4 flowers on it, which is amazing. That usually does not happen. But they look absolutely beautiful. A lot to be thankful for here. And my potager, I'm going to be getting rid of my broccoli. It's gone to flower. I'm going to let it flower because it might attract some pollinators. My lettuces are ready to be harvested. Basil's doing well. My tomatoes still growing there. These are thalia daffodils that I bought last year and planted. Everything in this area is really growing. Here you can see my sage, my dill, more thalia. And these tomatoes are actually taller than the others. These get a little bit of shade from this crepe myrtle. I need to go ahead and harvest my mustard greens. Oh, in the front, I don't think anything's in bloom yet. Oh, yeah, they are. My antirrhinums are starting to bloom. I have to get a stake out for the one that's off to itself. Well, 2. I see one on that side as well. But this should look gorgeous in another week. Here out front you can see the cactus has got a lot of new growth. It's got a lot of buds. Some of those may be flower buds. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Last year I only had 1. And let's see what's going on in the construction zone. The good news is I got a curb. I did talk with Cody, the guy that's kind of in charge of all of this, and he said they're hoping to have this patch of the street done by the end of April. But as you can see here, I've got a curb. I'm not going to do anything at the street until they put the sidewalk in. The sidewalks will be going in shortly. Here you can see the sidewalk stops over there. And this big drainage hole, I'm not going to go too much closer because I don't want to fall in. But apparently, this is the top of the hill that I live on over here. And that drainage actually runs uphill. Found that out from Cody. And you can see on this side, the curb has reappeared over there. So it is progressing, and hopefully one more month I'll be kind of back to normal again. Here you can get a good shot of my crepe myrtle. I need to clean some of the aspidistra out from it and trim it a little bit so that it looks a little more like a tree. It kind of wants to go to one side, but now that it's in full sun, it'll probably do a lot better there. And speaking of being in full sun, that's the other thing I decided this year would be a first for me, is I'm going to rejig some of the stuff in the front yard. Now that it is sunnier, I'm going to start taking advantage of that fact. And I want to try and keep growing some food products here. So, along those lines, what I did yesterday is I dug out the grass that used to be here, and I went to the botanical garden sale and bought a black Italian fig. Supposedly it'll have fruit that the outside is black and the inside should be a rosy reddish pink color. And now that this corner is in full sun, this should do well over here. Of course, I did read the final size of this tree fig is 28 by 28 feet. I don't think I'm going to let it get that tall in this spot, but it'll be nice to have some fruit in the front. And here you can see some more amaryllis. This side is also, this little bed here is now sunnier than it's ever been, so I'm going to be rethinking some of the things in that bed. I can't do too much planting until the hyacinths die out. That is one of the things, if you do have bulbs like the daffodils or hyacinths, you do want the foliage to die back naturally. You don't want to just cut it off because it's storing up energy for next year's blooms. So I can't really reconsider doing much, or I can't consider doing much to this bed until the hyacinths have died out. Let's see. Oh, one of the other things I'm going to be planting at the potager, actually right where the broccoli is I watched a YouTube video on growing ginger. And come to find out that you can, pretty much root the ginger that you get in a grocery store. So I went next door and got me a couple small pieces of ginger about the size of the palm of my hand. And the YouTube video said to store them with onions until they start sprouting. So I have them where I keep my onions. But the reason I'm showing you these ginger lilies is these are the butterfly gingers. And if you Google butterfly gingers, it turns out that those roots supposedly are edible with a milder taste of ginger than the ginger you buy in a store. They are two totally different plants. So I wouldn't recommend eating it. At least don't take it off of my word alone, but it does say on the internet that it can be eaten. I didn't want to take the chance, so like I said, I bought food ginger and planted it out at the street, or I will be planting it. Right now it's mixing with my onions. Ooh, I've got a iris, Louisiana iris fixing to bloom. They seem to like that spot and that spot. It's kind of like the Lenten roses in back. When you find a spot that things thrive in, you may want to get more of that and take advantage of it. And other than that, you can see my cassia is sprouting. And I'm going to be reworking this area where there's a lot of weeds right now. The walking iris just aren't doing it. And I'm also going to lose the bottle tree. I'll put it up for now. It kind of looks cute for a while, and then it kind of sometimes makes your yard look like a garbage dump. So I'm sort of drawn there. I'm going to put something else in its place, preferably something foody. I haven't figured out what yet. Maybe strawberries or some other kind of food plant. Bananas are still doing well in front. Oh, the bananas I didn't show you in the back by the deck. They have come back, and indeed I'm going to have probably 3 or 4, not as many as last year, because 3 of them came up under the deck and have been cut out, but I'll have enough. That's the grass that I dug out to make room for the fig. I haven't quite decided if I want to give it away or plant it somewhere else here. But there you have it. A lot is going on, a lot to be thankful for. Weather is still crazy. I guess we are definitely in tornado season. It's just part of the spring now. And this is blooming. This came up. My neighbor used to have this whole area used to be loaded with these plants. I believe they're mock orange, and they all died out. Did not plant this one. This one was just in the ground and came up, and have left it. And I kind of like the look of it. And so what I plan on doing is just letting it grow to its full potential. Let's see if I can get here without tripping over anything. But there's a close-up of the mock orange. It's Philadelphia something or other. It is a floppy, weedy looking plant. However, this is the high point of its year, is when it blooms. So there you have it. Have a good day. Until next time.